Welcome to another Practical Awakening with Anjali. Today's topic: what is karma? How does it work? Hello, Anjali. How are you?
Hi, Di. I'm doing well. I just want to remind our viewers we're happy to have you guys here, even viewers that are watching this at a later time. If you're liking this, hitting the thumbs up button below will really help our viewership expand and get this information out to others who are interested. And if you like this content of this video, and if you'd like to consider donation, the link is below also. And we greatly appreciate any support for this channel.
Thank you, Anjali. Let's
Mm.
start with our usual warming up. Off we go into deeper waters with eyes closed or eyes open. Breath and the mantra. And slowly, slowly coming back towards the surface. Still a bit submerged in the space, not leaving completely, just enough to consider today's topic a big word, karma. Such a big word. It's too big. It's too big. We're just using it so that people know, in a way, what is the topic. But it's too big for what it is. Anjali, now I'm going to pass the ball straight to you as usual and put you on a spot, which you know that you have been waiting for. Now, I'm just genuinely interested in this. Did you use this word throughout your life, or and what does it contain for you?
Yes, only because I met my Baba, when I was a teenager. So it was very common, you know, it's a common use of a word. And he had always explained it to me. It was just in simple terms, it was an action and a reaction. And he said all of life is like that. It's back and forth, back and forth. Um, I think now maybe got a kind of twisted meaning to it. It's hit mainstream culture and it's used in different ways. But it is a very familiar term. Um, because I don't have clarity on my own, how do I want to say this, like bigger picture. I have no access to my past lives right now at present, or any experience with them. So I don't usually use that word much. I mean, it's not part of how I think about my life right now at present. Although I've read about it enough and I know my Baba's talked about it, and it seems pretty common sense, I guess, is the easiest way to do it.
But in a practical way, in everyday life, you don't apply it to anything.
I'm not sure how I would apply it. That's actually why I typed that question in the description, because I don't know. I mean, I can see in terms of like past lives and like samskaras, or like threads of patterns of behavior, I guess, being pulled forward into this life. But I can't see like the big picture. I can't back up and see like you have a clarity of vision. So I guess in my day to day life, I don't have an application for it. Um, how would you mean that there would be an application for considering karma, like in daily life?
I'm just trying to find the best way to talk about it. I think maybe the
Mm.
best way is my personal example. Okay, maybe that's the best way, so that people can understand where I'm coming from. Because I have not grown up in any spiritual tradition, the words like, reincarnation or karma, whatever, I have never heard of those words, okay, till much, much later in life, much, much later, when I started
Mm.
looking for, ways to progress my spiritual, whatever we call it, development. But as I was always a very logical and very practical person, it always seemed to me completely logical. Number one, as you said yourself, that every action has a reaction. It cannot be any other way. It's just so simple. I mean, there is nothing to discuss there, is it?
Yeah.
And a life, as we understand it, is just action after action after action, whether it's a small or a big or insignificant, but it's always some sort of an action, isn't it? So reactions are plenty, isn't it? Even in one life, even in one day, even in 1 hour. And the second thing that I always knew, this is, you see, obviously I'm not everyone, and my experience was a bit different. I always knew, as I said a few times in my videos, and I always knew, I had this knowing that there are lives and lives and lives. There isn't just this one life. And that there are forms and forms. And, I talked about it a lot. I'm not going to repeat this, but I always had this knowing that there isn't just one life, but there were lives they were lives before, they could be lives after. And to me, that just completely was always too completely logical. Completely logical. And later on, when I struggled with, this one life and making no sense and all that, it always helped me that I knew that it's not like that, and it's makes no sense, and it's completely logical to be life and life and life and life and, you know, continuation of life cycles. Now, if you put these two things together, Angie, action and reaction and life cycles, many, plenty, well, doesn't it seem logical again that there is so much reaction that there is hardly any, if any at all, genuine action?
Say that again.
There are so many lifetimes, Angie, and in one
Right.
hour, in 1 minute, in one day, there are so many actions that have reactions.
Mm.
And now, because there are consecutive lifetimes, and because they spread, they're not cut like that. Majority
Right.
of people has no access or no understanding that there were lives before. But those who do understand that these life cycles are not cut like that, they flow from one to another to another. The reactions, the consequences, the whatever spreads. So there's so many reactions, Angie, even from all the previous lifetimes, isn't it? Look at your lifetime, our current lifetime. Most of it is a reaction to all the previous lifetimes. And that is called karma. I mean,
So what does that
I
have?
have never, sorry.
Yeah, I'm just trying to formulate that, and I agree with everything you've said. That's the way I was raised, but I've never. So we can conclude that there's really no freedom of choice. We're just bearing out karma and creating more from actions.
Absolutely. As you're living out your karma, you're already creating new karma for all the successive
Mm.
lifetimes that are still coming if you're going to stay inside the cycles. And it's so
Mm.
perfectly now. I'm starting using your word that you like, perfect and perfectly. And I got to it now. I got hold of it. It's logical. It's logical. It's just, to me, not being brought up in any spiritual tradition, not understanding any of these words that I heard about later on. To me, that was just always just a basic logic of life, basic logic of life. And I want to connect this with this other thing that I also say, and I've got to experience that more and more with time as I go deeper and deeper into the space or the stream or whatever we call it. Angie, the source, the original existence is not personal. It's not physical, and it's just an energy field, as I always say. And this energy field is just completely still, at peace, with vibrations,
Mm.
with this lovely sort of energy, buzz, whatever you call it, doesn't matter. There is no moralizing the Angie. There are no human concepts applied. There is nothing like that. And if your existence in a current lifetime is in sync with this sort of a original existence, it's just flowing nicely. And all the actions, your actions, and all the reactions are all flowing nicely in sync with the stream, with the space.
Mm.
That I hope even, I know you, Angie, already experienced some, and I know some viewers are too, and I hope for everyone out there that you are able to experience even moments and minutes of this space and ease and bliss and peace. So that is the original. Now, when your action in a current lifetime disturbs this peace, it's in discord with this, it's sort of causes ripples, causes some sort of disturbance that spreads onto the surface and spreads into the life cycle and another life cycle and another life cycle till again it comes to peace.
Mm.
This is the disturbance, this is the discord, these are the actions that are sort of hurting you, hurting other people maybe, and then spreading, into consecutive lifetimes. But they are not morally, what is moral, it's, every society has its
Mm.
moral code. This is right, this is wrong. This changes depending
Mm.
what part of the world you live in, depending what time you live in. Something that's moral now was not moral 200 years ago, and so on and so on. But this space, the stream, it's got no human morals. Okay, let's understand this. That's why I completely dislike this connection with a, of karma with some sort of a daily morality of a certain society, or you know
Mm.
what I mean. It's got nothing to do with that. It's
Mm.
just completely to do with the nature of existence. It's stable, it's peaceful, it's still, it's bliss, it's buzz, it's lovely well-being energy, but when it's disturbed, and there are ripples and there are currents and there are disturbance on the surface, that spreads. And that's all there is. That's all there is. Why we should That's why I always say we should always try and refer and find if there is a resonance inside the space, the chest area, where we connect with the space or with the stream or with the original existence, whatever we call it. And I wouldn't moralize it. I would not really bind it by any so-called morals. Now, Angie, I would like your feedback on this. This sort of makes sense?
It absolutely does. I think I'm a bit unusual in that way, though, because I have never tied. I mean, I've clearly seen morality as tied to the I, and tied to like societal eyes and collective bodies of people. So that's I was raised that way. So I wasn't tied into, I know, Catholicism and some other Western religions and other things. There's codes for that, which I never was exposed to, and I didn't have to undo those basically. So, yes, everything you've said makes complete sense. And I love the way you've described I guess, the way you describe it, like the agitation of the silence, and that it comes back. And my Baba always used to say, everything is an action. It's not just these, what we would say, negative things that we do. It's also if we want to put it this way, positive things. I mean, we really are outside of those negative and positives in some ways, but the mind up here for me still says, oh, this feels like a good action. But that also has ripples, that carry over, I would imagine. Is that correct in different lifetimes?
Yeah, I would always just really, as you put it, Angie, I would always refer to the space. That's why. it is very important that we start by establishing the space
Mm,
and having the experience of the space, the peace, the bliss, the buzz, the the stability, the well-being, the evenness of it. Once we have that, we just always look there and see whether something is in discord or in sync. If it's in
mm.
sync, beautiful. If it's in discord, we try and correct it and try to get away from attachment to the thoughts, because it's usually the thoughts that start the cycle of some sort of action that's in discord. We attach to the
Interesting.
thoughts that will then cause us to do certain thing, like a certain action, and there will be disturbance, there will be ripples, there will be, and then spreading that.
So that's the example we were talking about then with my job. And for those viewers that didn't know, I started a job 3 weeks ago that Di aptly pointed out. I had noted my first response was like, this is not a good fit. But I had talked myself into it with my thinking, for various things. It's close to home. I can come home for lunch. It can't be that hard. It doesn't require a lot of new skill set, yada, yada. Um, and right now, I came home on Friday in tears because I am just so done. Does not fit at all. Um, and that's interesting because if I had listened to that space, as you pointed out, Di, in the beginning, I would have just declined the job gracefully and continued to look elsewhere for something that fits. So it's
Yes,
been
but you
good for me to
have
learn that.
that's it, Angie. You see, that's it. You had such a great experience that you will always, it's in you now, and you know it, and you're not going to repeat it again because you've been through it in
Mm,
everyday life. That's how we learn. That's how we learn. Not from here, but through you know being connected to life, to people, to situations, to environments.
I think sometimes I have trouble like listening to that space, like honoring it, I guess, in the beginning. Now, maybe it'll be easier this next time. Maybe I have a few more hoops to jump through or trial and errors, but I've been conditioned most of my life to, draw out the pluses and minuses and, you know, kind of gauge them in my head mentally, think about it some more, and then think about it some more again, and then come up with this
Yeah.
thoughtful solution.
Angie, I would even stop using these expressions as a plus and minus and stuff like that. I
Mm,
would replace them with expressions of in sync or resonating or disturbing
I
the
like that.
space. If it's resonating with the space, off we go. If it's disturbing the space, no, we pull back, we stop, and we try a different course of action.
Mm,
And of course, it happens sometimes, and it happened to me a lot in the past. Sometimes people, it's often called like intuition in life. I like this word actually, intuition. People talk about intuition even in everyday life. But you see, what happens very often is that some sort of a thought is mistaken as intuition.
yeah.
Sometimes there is a strong thought that resonates throughout the whole body, and people mistake that for intuition and they go with it. But it's very important, Angie, very important. And please, all the viewers out there, that when you go into the space, you do a few minutes before you establish what is there, okay? You ease yourself in with the breathing and the mantra, so you make completely sure that you're not attached to a certain thought, but you're actually experiencing the space through the chest area, okay?
Can I ask a question? How do you know you're there?
Please,
I mean,
please.
I can feel it sometimes. I mean, I feel it a lot of times, but I don't, when there's a critical issue, like a decision for me about a job or whatever our viewers are having, like a move or any kind of bigger decision, it's harder for me to find. I mean, you and I have called it sitting with that, with the decision, sitting with the question, I guess, and to see what arises. It's hard sometimes when I'm holding that question to to n- to access that stream, the silence, the place of silence that I can hold much more easily when I don't have any major decision to make. So how do I
That's
know
why,
I'm
Angie,
there?
I think it is so important that you put yourself in the environment that's connected with the question if you ever can. That is not just a mental exercise, okay?
Mm,
You see, you are having questions about a certain workplace, you go there and you are in that place in there, and then you will feel it. You don't
mm,
ask any questions. Go
gotcha.
in there and you will feel it. You sit at home and then you imagine this space and then you imagine that job and then you imagine everything. You have to recreate it all. It's you're not there, Angie, okay? So the thoughts can interfere, especially before the person gets really established inside the space. So
Mm,
if you ever can, I do recommend that you put yourself in the environment that you have questions about or you're uncertain about, or you know, like once I remember, just giving some examples. My son once asked me, he was with a girl and then he wasn't sure, is it good, is it bad, should they stay together, blah, blah 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 blah. Anyway, so I said to him this: look, they were supposed to meet somewhere and discuss whatever. I said, you go there, no questions, sit with her and just feel the space, just sitting with her just like that, not asking yourself any questions. Does her presence, does that environment, does you two together in with, before starting any discussions or before marring it with words and mental concept,
mm,
just feel if this is it in the chest area, if this resonates or there is a discord. If there is discord, don't mind any discussions. You can just, you already know. And if it is a resonance, it is a resonance. It can change with time, but it is a resonance. Currently, this is the way to go, okay?
mm.
And then, of course, you can always discuss yourself out of the resonance and all that, but you have to understand what is there. You know what I mean? You have to understand what is there. And Angie, what is important with this breathing and the mantra, because we know we're not attached to the thought, okay? We know when we go there, we know if there is a thought or not. We know if we are attaching or not. This is the whole idea. We know whether we are attached to the thought or whether we're just in the space. Does that make sense?
It does. I mean, I'm in the space, so it feels great. It's hard to imagine I
You
have any
see,
troubles.
Angie, that's it. That's it. And for everyone out there, we just, this space where Angie and me are in now, this, once you establish yourself in a space, wherever you go, whatever situation you're in, you're always in the space. It takes time to establish yourself through practice and through listening. Not listening, listening is not the right word, but experiencing, resonance or discord through the chest area. And but once you establish yourself there, it's like that. The life is like that.
It's beautiful.
Yes. And that's why I always said, even in the past, and I keep repeating that, but people might not understand it, that whatever happens in everyday life on so-called surface area, it really doesn't matter that much, or actually doesn't matter
Mm,
at all,
at
if
all.
you want, in a certain way. You know what I mean? Because before you experience this space, this is very hard to understand. But once you have the experience of the space, you can start understanding this. And while I was establishing myself in a space, it took time, obviously. I try to keep myself in the environments that are more suited to the practice, like more peaceful, more in sync with,
Mm,
with the space and stuff like that. And try to keep myself away from people who would cause ripples in the environment or noises or sounds or whatever, you know what I mean? Once
mm,
you establish yourself in a space, you can go wherever you want, really speaking, and you're in the space. But while you're establishing yourself, you have to pay attention. Choose, the environments that help you, that are useful. I hope I am I'm trying to explain this thing. Am I explaining it well enough?
absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. I can see it now. It's so clear. I mean, just
Yeah.
before we started when we were chatting, I couldn't see it. I can see it
Yeah.
now. It's quite clear.
Because you see, Angie, you already have the experience of the space. You're obviously not as established as me, but you're on the way. But you have the experience, so you know how it is. It is now just a question of, you know, extending that so you're there all the time. And while you are
Yes.
establishing yourself, you looking for environments that are helping you to establish yourself. And that is that.
Yes. I'll find it through trial and error, I'm sure. I mean,
Yes. And use your life, use your everyday life. Everything that happens in life can be referred to that and the space and everything. Everything. It doesn't matter what it is.
yes.
Absolutely everything. Relationships, jobs, situations, you know. Shall I make this big purchase or not? Shall I don't know, move or not? Shall I have more children or not? Shall I have children at all? Shall I blah, 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 blah? Everything,
Right. Yeah.
everything in life. And you see, Angie, this is where clarity comes in. You're probably seeing that yourself more and more, isn't it? This is where clarity comes in. Because when
So
you're in
his
the
yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
please, you go. You tell me which way you
No,
were thinking.
so I have a question. So I obviously couldn't find clarity. Okay, so I started the job 3 weeks ago. The first week I was able to retain more. I mean, I felt pretty good. I was able to retain a lot. I was learning quite a bit about just people um, who had been outside of my sphere of like living before. So I was watching all of their kindness to each other, and just beautiful things that I was witnessing. And then the second week, it started to kind of track backward. I found not much clarity. And then this third week, I could not find any clarity, even in my practice in the morning. So my question then is how do I find that when I feel totally lost in the woods? I knew I had it before. I knew that there was a space and I knew what it looks like when I have it, but I couldn't find it.
You see, while you're establishing yourself in a space, you need to have certain circumstances that are helpful. And in the first week when you got there, your experience of space and being established there was still strong enough because you were before at home and you were sort of, being with it and establishing and first week was okay, was not too bad. But then the second week and the third week with that environment, which was really in complete discord, with this complete discord, we have to point that out. This environment that Angie's in at work is in a complete discord with the peace and bliss even, I mean, far from it, and balance and all that. There is none of it there. There is no peace, there is no balance, there is a constant struggle. These are people who are struggling on all different levels of existence, struggling, caught inside their thoughts. And then there is Angie there who brings this spice, and of course they want to be in this spice themselves. They want a piece of Angie, they want a piece of this spice, and then they sort of bring even more of this, of the uncertainties, the struggle, the discord, and your space is just getting depleted, 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 till in the end you go there and you can't even find your own space anymore, and you're just sort of struggling to even get through the day, and all you can feel is the struggle, the discord, and your struggle now, because you're caught
Right.
in there. And what's the way out? To quit, of course, to quit. You were just
So
not established enough in a space yet, aren't you, to be able to go wherever, and stay inside the space unaffected by what's going on in the environment. Not established enough.
from a if I can just pull this out into a bigger question for viewers. So if you have a if if you're in a space in your life where you can't find clarity, you had it before, but you're just muddled and you can't find clarity, what is the how do you go about finding it again? Is it just about getting more space? Or, I mean, I couldn't even listen to myself anymore. I mean, it was all these thoughts and I couldn't stop them really. I was just looking at all of them. Half of them were sad, some of them were like angry that I was there, that I had made
Of
this choice.
course.
But
Of course.
for all of the viewers, I'm sure, I mean, there's different life situations that this happens, and I've had many of them, but I just can't, I go through a situation, I can't find clarity. Is it just about coming back again, like we've always talked about, so simple and so easy?
Basics, Angie. Basics. Basics start with finding a space where you can enter. If that is a peace at home or whatever, establishing yourself there. And then while you are doing that, so go back to basics. And while you're doing that, when you move around, when you find that there are environments that are completely disturbing this peace, I mean, for Christ's sake, get yourself out of it if you possibly can.
Mm,
If you cannot, then just try and compensate that with the basics at home or wherever you have your peaceful space where you can practice and establish yourself there more and more. Because you have to be able to transfer from that home space or your out. And while doing that, environments that are in complete discord do not help at all. Do not help at all. Just the opposite. So if you can get yourself out of it, do. If you can't get yourself out of it, then obviously you just have to try and go back to the basics at home and try and do as much as you can there. But it will be difficult, especially if you spend a lot of time in some environment that's in big discord with the resonance and peace of the space. It's going to be very difficult, you know. That's why
I've
sometimes
yeah,
there are some big choices to be made, you know.
I've actually started dreaming again, and I have not dreamed for a long, long time. But I actually, this past week, I've been dreaming every night, lots of dreams. They're with people that are there. I work at an assisted living facility, and a lot of people, there's probably 80% who have dementia, and they have physical limitations also as well, and also psychological limitations. And I just dream about these people, and then they have this music that plays in the lobby on a loop. And that music just runs through my head like all hours of the day that I'm come home. And in the morning I wake up, I open my eyes, and there's the song playing in my head. It's like
Yeah.
insane. Uh,
You understand, Angie, what it's about, isn't it?
I feel like I'm going
You,
psycho.
your space was not established enough to sort of, you know, be able to retain it in such an environment that is in such complete discord with the nature of the space, you know.
Mm,
And we thought that that would happen anyway, but you know, it's a learning curve. It's
mm.
a learning curve.
So back to
And this,
karma. I have a question
yes,
really. Like,
please.
I think it was one of the ones I typed in my description. It's actually, there's a question or a comment from one of our viewers. Sugar-free tarot says karma means action. Fear not, you have complete control if you do, but know it. Not sure what that means exactly. I'll read it again. Karma means
No,
action.
don't. I just, look, whatever it is for this viewer, so far we've been explaining sort of a different version of what that could be, but
Mm.
everyone's got their own version of what that is, and I'm not, I'm not saying that the version we are sort of putting out here is right or wrong or whatever. It's something that can be accepted, that can be helpful, that can be put into practice. And there are people who have other versions of whatever that is, and good on them. You know what I mean? Like it's just how it is with everything in life. So I wouldn't even want to go into that in a way of, and I hope that
So
that is accepted as what was meant as just something that we're all different, and I'm not arguing anything that it is or it is not like that. I'm just offering an option, a possibility, and something that's a certain understanding of things that can work in life. That's all.
so I do have a question.
Yes, please.
So I'm having trouble drawing the link. Again, this is about practical awakening. So I'm having trouble. Karma's always been a conceptual kind of concept for me. And I can see how it would play out. You've just explained some things, how it does, but I'm saying in a very practical, at a micro level, in a practical day for me, how does understanding karma help me?
There are different levels. Now, karma is delivered through the thoughts, okay? So when we attach to the thoughts, we execute the karma.
Interesting. I hadn't thought of it that way. Yes.
That's the only way the karma can be delivered. Karma cannot be delivered outside the mental concepts. Karma does not exist in the original pure existence. It just exists in the life cycles that are humanly, you know, tied to mental concepts. So the only way that we execute the karma is by attaching to the thoughts. And while we do that, and while we go on with everyday life and stuff like that, everything more or less is a reaction to, previous life cycles. And so, in a way, people who never find the space, who are never able to detach from the thoughts, are just executing the karma. Their life is just a reaction to
Mm.
all the previous lifetimes, life cycles. And that's how it is. I mean, it's not right or wrong or whatever, it's how it is. But once you are aware of the space, you have experience aware, I mean, you have experience of the space, and you are able to not attach to the thoughts. You are able to become in sync with the stream, with the peace, with the balance and everything of the original existence. And there is no karma there.
Mm. Yeah.
But most of us people are only executors of previous actions, reactions. reactions to
Mm.
previous actions. Sometimes they say we're just puppets, just like that. They say there is no free will, just like that. It's execution of reactions. It's not right or wrong or anything. I'm not moralizing
Right.
here, okay? I don't care
Mm.
about the morals or pluses and minuses. It's just how it is. It's just how it is. And you can see very distinctly once you establish yourself in a space how all the actions are sort of automatic. I mean, life is so much a repetition of automatic actions. Automatic. While I'm in a space, there is a body that does all sorts of things, but I'm in a space. I don't really care that much what that body does.
Can you only see that after awakening? That's that perspective?
You're probably, it's just completely clear, Angie. Once you're just totally in a space, it's completely clear. Before, it's
Mm.
something that can be helpful, but once you're completely in a space, completely, when there is no I, no attachment to the thoughts, when thoughts are just, then it's just everything is clarity. Before that, it's helpful to open up to that sort of understanding.
Mm.
But look, for us on this channel, because we have established the space, we have found the connection with the pure original existence, which is not affected by reactions or previous lifetimes, or it's easier because we can make a distinction. But there's just. Also, Angie, I just want to say one other thing. Previous lifetimes, sometimes people just, go online and boast about all the previous lifetimes that they've been able to see and whatever. That is just completely so irrelevant, Angie. Completely. Completely. It's got no meaning whatsoever.
Yes. I've been told that before.
Really, you know, there is absolutely no meaning in that.
It's just more mental processing for me.
Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely. Absolutely. What is important is just the understanding of life cycles, continuation of life cycles, continuation of existence. And human existence is mental processing, Angie, nothing else.
it's beautifully put.
Yeah. But you see, even that, it's very hard to understand if you don't have the experience of the space. Once you have the experience of the space, there is no human existence there, okay?
Mm.
No, whatsoever. There is human existence on the surface that goes on, and whatever happens, happens, and things go on. But in a space, there is no human existence. There is just this, existence, pure existence. I have met, I work in this op shop, and I have recently met a lady who has been in coma for some time, and then she came back from the coma, and then she had no grasp of any mental concepts. Okay, so she had to reestablish her human world again.
Wow.
There was nothing wrong with her eyes and nothing wrong with her vision, but she could not see because the mental concepts were not there. Okay, you see, everything is a mental concept. Mental concept puts it together. And then she's been able to slowly, gradually, with the help of her husband, build up mental concepts so she can now see, at least partially, what other people see through the mental concepts.
Wow.
That's a very, I found that so amazing. I mean, anyway, and I spoke to her a few times now.
Mm,
She's a lovely lady, and she's always so calm, and no doubt. I mean, no doubt, she's more calm and more in this lovely sort of state
sure.
of being. Then obviously the average, because she still hasn't reconstructed all the mental concepts, so she's still
Mm,
enjoying more peace and more. But you see how simple it is, Angie. She woke up and she did not see anything, like a newborn baby.
right.
There was nothing wrong with her vision, but mental concepts were not there. She lost touch with all these mental concepts that she's been building throughout her life, and previous lives and all that. You see what I mean?
I see exactly.
And now she slowly, by learning mental concepts, slowly, she's not in a hurry. She said she's not in a hurry because she feels quite fine.
Right?
which, which you know. But how that is interesting, isn't it? Like she said
That
to me, I can't see you. You're obviously there, but I can't see you. But with time, when I will get a few mental concepts about you, then I will see you more. You see what I mean?
gosh, that's just so amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. But that's how it is, Angie. So simple. I know it's very hard to understand that, Angie, but like this is an example of how simple that is. A living
Right. No,
example.
mm,
Living example. I
as
always
an
say
ad
how babies, they come out, they see nothing. And then from mental concepts, it's nothing wrong with the vision, but the mental concepts are not there. And then once the mental concepts are established and all these connections with previous, because we live in this space of mental concepts on the surface in this human reality.
mm,
Then obviously, they start seeing things. And you see, this lady is just like that. She's done it again from the scratch.
wow.
But she's not in a hurry to learn. You see, she's smart. She's because she's adult. She's not in a hurry to learn. She's got no one pushing her. Just a
Mm,
husband, but a husband is okay. She enjoys her company because she's so carefree and so sort of peaceful and almost feels some sort of a bliss. So none of them is
right.
in a hurry to reintroduce all the mental concepts to her. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
of course, she's classified as disabled and all that. I mean, of course, we all understand that, but you know what I mean? Like, it's just such a
Well,
beautiful example.
that's even more interesting. She's classified as disabled.
Of course, of
That's
course.
what we're striving for, viewers. We're going to
No, no,
undo
no, no,
ourselves and become disabled.
no, Angie, no, Angie, because we
I
can
I know.
detach. You see,
I know.
she doesn't. She didn't have the thoughts. She didn't have any mental concepts whatsoever. So she built
Right.
them, and. But we can just detach, and we still
Yes.
see everything, but we're not attached. So.
So
But
I'm not going
it's
to just
just
be
such a.
I'm not going to just be sitting
Yeah.
drooling on myself when I awaken.
Look, she's not. I want to point this out. She's not drooling on herself at all. She's always
Yeah.
up and about. Like she enjoys life. She whatever it is that she sees or doesn't see or whatever. She's always peaceful. She goes around. She lives on a farm. She does things, and you know what I mean. But obviously, because her vision as a human vision is impaired,
Right.
because it's nothing wrong physically, but mental concepts are missing. Not every mental concept is back in place. So no, but it's
Right.
just such a beautiful example of what we're talking about, isn't it?
Mm,
Mental concepts create this human reality. And that's why, Angie, it is a creation. It is a creation of through mental concepts.
hmm.
It's just I was so thankful and grateful that I met her.
Yes.
That actually everything I've always knew, but haven't seen an example in, because you can't talk to the babies, you don't really know
Mm,
exactly. They can't confirm what you think it is or isn't, or but she can, because she's just sort of built enough back to sort of communicate.
So she understands how she's building this
Yeah.
back.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. She
Okay.
was explaining to me, as I said on my example, I can't see you now, but when I put in together a few mental concepts about you, like you look like that, you do this, I know now, she said, your voice, so I can connect, the
Right.
voice to, and I'm building a few mental concepts, and then I will see you more and more, because this
Hmm.
mental concept will make this picture, and then I will fixate on that picture, and I will see you. Not as much as other people, but because she will never be able to build everything that people build up in a lifetime from a baby on, you know what I mean? She's already in her 70s, but
Right.
still, some. So she gave a very good explanation. She understands that. She gave a very good she understands that on a certain level, like she understands that through mental concepts, her vision in a way builds. Yeah.
Yeah.
She doesn't make much of it. She's not, you know what I mean? Like for her, it's just
Right.
how it is.
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
You know, and other people don't even contemplate it. They don't even understand what she's actually showing everyone. You know what I mean?
I
How
know
people just take
exactly.
it off disability, disabled person and all that. But she's just such a beautiful example, of what all this is about.
I don't think you can see
Anyway,
it until you have some like experience of it. I mean, I don't
mental concept. You learn
until,
from mental concepts.
right, but I don't think
You
most
said
people
the
can see her for like the
ah
example that she is because they don't have an experience
no
of having some
no.
space between
Well,
the mental
no.
process.
Yes, correct, Angie. I have never in my life, Angie, before met anyone like this lady. And I just met her,
Mm,
as I said, in the op shop by chance, who just confirmed everything, unveiled it completely. So simple, so simple. And to her,
wow.
Angie, it's just so simple. It's how it is. She doesn't think anything of it. You know what I mean?
Right,
But no one else understands it. What she's telling them. I mean, they don't get into it. They just are, like
right.
obviously this person is just whatever, like.
That's so
But
interesting.
yeah, yeah. So thank you. This lady, I forgot her name. I think she told me her name. Maybe she. Anyways, name is not important, but thank you for such a lovely experience. And I'm really always
Mm.
looking forward now to talk to her when she gets in the shop. It's so nice. Oh well. Anyway, Anjali, do you think that we talked about everything and a little bit about the topic too? But most importantly, we're sharing the spice.
That does feel like the most important, and I think it's so overlooked by most people. They're fixated on the words. That's just what they're trained to do.
And I hope that, people who share the spice with us are actually able, I mean, who watch these videos, at least a number of them, or a number of people who were with us for a while on the channel. And thank you. I mean, this channel is just about that. Um, that they're actually able to experience, the spice through sharing it here with us. We're sort of supporting each other's spice, allowing ourselves to go deeper, to rest
Mm.
in it, by all of us being part of it, sharing it. And Angie, have I made it clear what I thought? That all the viewers, hopefully, can have this
About,
experience of
yeah.
sharing the space. Like you and me recognize the experience of the spice and sharing the spice. And I hope that, people watching this, especially the people who have been with us for a while, and we have people who have been with us for a while, that they can experience it and recognize it, and then just work on extending it.
Yes. If there are viewers out there that are not understanding this, maybe that's a topic. Leave us comments below the video here if you'd like us to continue. Maybe that's another topic to discuss. It's hard to discuss it, but it is a space. We could have sat in this space in silence with no words, and I think we would have arrived at the same space where we are now.
Would you say, Angie, we probably go deeper when we sit without words, isn't it?
I would think so, but on some level, I have to say, though, I am not detached from my I. I mean, I haven't surrendered it yet.
Yeah, yeah, of course.
So the words are most helpful when I can hold the space that I hold with you, that I feel through you. When I can hold that space and hear the words over the top of it, because those
Yeah,
are,
yeah,
but
yeah,
then the words also I recognize after I've heard the words. At that moment, it doesn't feel like the words were necessary either. It's just kind of a
yeah,
weird juxtaposition. The words are all, it feels like it just muddies the water in some ways for me. There's some clarity that it brings, but I don't know what's brought me back to this point of clarity. I told you before we started this live stream that I couldn't find really much clarity. I wasn't as much agitated about it as I have been in the past, but I knew I couldn't find it. There was a little fear coming up in me, thinking, oh boy, what if I can never find it again? All those little thoughts about the future and whatever, but it's here. It's just so here, and none of that matters.
correct. You've got it, Angie. Now it's just a question of establishing yourself there, for longer
Mm.
and longer and transferring it.
I mean, I love you. I just feel like you're wide open, just sitting there. It's not even
Yeah,
you. You're like empty.
that's it, Angie. That's it. You see, this thing that we call love is this bliss and emptiness and boundlessness that we share, Angie, that we share. I feel the same. There is just this, wow. And all of you out there, hopefully, it reaches you. And I know it does at least a few, but the number can grow.
Mm.
On this lovely note, we will say
Thank
thank you,
you.
thank you, thank you, Angie. And we'll see you
Next
again.
week.
There is no stopping that now.
See you. Bye.